There were 6 finalists in impromptu speaking. In 6th place, from Shepherd, Mike Peretz. In 5th place, from Bartlett, Michael White. In 4th place, from Prairie Ridge, Jack Disselhorst. In 3rd place, from Normal University High, Jay Simmons. Second place in impromptu speaking, from Fremd, Elizabeth Davies. And your tournament champion in 2013 in impromptu speaking, let me say the gentleman's name, your champion from Downers Grove North, Alex Buckley. And now, your state champion in impromptu speaking, Alex Buckley.
Former American President Jimmy Carter would top almost no one's list of the top presidents of the 20th century, despite the fact that he seemed a perfect candidate. Coming from his down-home peanut farm in Georgia, he soon proved less adept at manipulating domestic policy, resulting in the infamous Iran hostage crisis. However, Jimmy Carter hasn't let his failures as president get him down, and in his post-president lifestyle, he has actually managed to become an incredible citizen of the world, working in many charity functions and redeeming any mistakes he may have made in office. This situation, in which someone makes their life worthwhile and meaningful through service to others, is inherent in the following Adam Ash quotation: "From what we get, we make a living. From what we give, we make a life." Essentially, Ash is telling all of us that while what we get may help us survive, it does not make our life actually have meaning, or in other words, exist as a life. Instead, it is only what we give to others that helps through this process. From this, we can extract the following universal truth, with which I profoundly agree, that ultimately, we give our life value through others. This is true for 3 key reasons. First, we help improve the world in general. Second, avoid a destructive cycle of self-obsession. And third, learn to transcend our own flaws. One of the most immediate reasons why we give our life value by living through and for others is because we manage to make the world in general a better place. To demonstrate this, we can turn to the life of Italian operatic composer Giuseppe Verdi. During his lifetime, Giuseppe Verdi was someone who certainly received more than enough to make a living. He was one of the world's greatest and most successful opera composers, at a time when for once in your life you could actually make a living at that. However, he was not content to merely coast on his laurels, and he actually took the money he gained from such famous operas as Rigoletto and La Traviata and used it to help his community, opening a home for failed musicians that is still in operation in modern-day Italy. As a result, we can see that Giuseppe Verdi managed to give his life more value by helping others, or making a life out of what he gave. Yet in this case, it is simply because it helped improve the world in general. What Verdi understood and what he argued in all of his operas, I'll listen to quite a few of them, it shows I have no life, is that ultimately, you need to try and find meaning in your life through service to others because this is what makes everyone happy. Verdi decided he couldn't actually make his existence work if he constantly served himself. As a result, he needed to make other people feel better in order to facilitate that. Therefore, we can see that we must live through others in order to find happiness, because it is through this that we make the world in general a better place. Yet an even more central reason why we need to live for and through others in order to give our lives meaning is because we thereby avoid a destructive cycle of self-obsession. We may find this by turning to one of the most self-centered people in history, 19th century novelist Leo Tolstoy. Although we continue to appreciate Tolstoy as one of the world's greatest novelists, the fact was he was not one of the world's greatest people. In fact, he was actually a horrible person. He constantly self-promoted his own novels as the greatest masterworks of history and called himself the greatest man who ever lived. As a result, he was certainly someone who made a living out of what he got, but never even tried to make a life out of what he gave. In the end, he succeeded only in alienating anyone who tried to love him, such as his wife Sophia, who left him for a man young enough to be his grandson. You go, girl. Ultimately, we can see that for Leo Tolstoy could not give his life greater meaning because he chose not to live through others. But in this case, it was because it would not allow him to avoid a destructive cycle of self-obsession. As you could probably tell, Leo Tolstoy really loved himself, in pretty much every creepy meaning of that term. As a result, he constantly looked within himself for all value and never tried to make other people love him, appreciate him, or realize his talents for what they were. Not just a gift to himself, but a gift to the world. This was what destroyed him. Consequently, we can see that we must live through others to find meaning. Because if we choose not to, the self-obsession this generates can deeply harm us. However, the single most important reason why we need to live through and for others in order to give our lives meaning is simply because it can allow us to transcend our own lives. This can be shown by the character of Brunhilde, from Richard Wagner's operatic cycle, The Ring of the Nibelung. To put it simply, Brunhilde is a manifestly selfish woman throughout much of the cycle. Gods are going to die, she don't care. People need help, she don't care. Just stick her with her lover Siegfried and let her be happy. In the end, however, Brunhilde is given a shocking choice. While she has often made a living off of what she had gotten, she must now choose to give in order to make a life. She gains the Ring of Power, which Tolstoy ripped off for his overall novel, The Lord of the Rings, and is given a choice. She can either give up her own life to purify it and therefore save the world, or she can choose to keep it and only continue the cycle of destructions that occurred throughout the opera. Ultimately, Brunhilde chooses to destroy herself and the ring's malign power by living for others and throwing herself into her husband's funeral pyre, transcending anything bad she may have done. Hence, we can easily see that Brunhilde gave her life value through what she did for other people, giving up herself to save the ring. But this was ultimately because in the process she transcended her own flaws. At the end of her life, Brunhilde decided that she had essentially wasted many of her years, and that she finally needed to do something that would not just help her, but ensure that everyone around her would know that at heart, she had what it took to be a hero. As a result, she chose to give to others and make her life, even if it ended it, and ended up burning down heaven. Oops. As a result, we can see that we must live through others to find meaning, because by doing so, we can transcend everything that holds us back from being perfect. In our lives, we're often told that we have everything it takes in order to be successful and happy. Yet, as we have seen by analyzing the following Adam Ash quotation, from what you get, you can make a living. From what you give, you can make a life. We must live through and for others in order to find true meaning. We've seen how this can occur through three critical lenses of analysis. First, how living for others allows us to make the world a better place. Second, how not living through others locks us into a cycle of self-destruction and of self-obsession. And third, how by choosing to give ourselves up for others, we can transcend all of our flaws. In the end, Jimmy Carter may have failed epically as a president, but just because he did so did not stop him from being a terrible person. By choosing to live for others and not dwell on his selfish mistakes of the past, he has gained meaning.